Welcome to Crime Beat Most Wanted. I'm Tracy Tong. Police are on a mission to track down individuals wanted for the most serious crimes and are asking for your help. In this new series, we follow detectives in their hunt for alleged fugitives wanted for murder, attempted murder, and manslaughter. We meet the victims shattered by these crimes and the communities forever changed. Police say that many of Canada's most wanted should be considered armed and dangerous. They need your help calling in tips that bring them to justice, starting with their #1 most wanted, Cristian Cuxum.
It may have felt uncomfortable walking through the life-size cutouts of these most wanted individuals. And it should. These 25 individuals are wanted for crimes that have taken lives, altered lives, and left trauma. That will outlive us all.
You are staring into the faces of Canada's most wanted. They are on display here in one of Toronto's busiest public squares. Police say each one is on the run in the shadows of the heinous crimes they've allegedly committed, hiding, living among us. Police from across Canada have partnered with the BOLO program to bring them center stage and to announce the most wanted man in Canada.
Mr. Cuxum rightly takes the new #1 spot today. If you can help us find him, a reward of up to $250,000 is now available.
19-year-old Cristian Cuxum is accused of killing one man and injuring 2 others in Toronto. He is walking free somewhere, while Edwin Alvarado never got to go home.
Today will have been Edwin's 50th birthday. Instead of enjoying Edwin's party for him later today, I will be visiting him at the cemetery.
A triple shooting in the Finch Avenue West and Alness Street area that has left 1 person dead. Police were called to the Champagne Center around 7:20 tonight for reports of multiple gunshots heard. When officers got there, they say they found 3 men over the age of 20 with gunshot wounds and multiple shell casings on the ground. One of the men has since died from his injuries.
It's Thanksgiving weekend 2022. Inside La Liga Sports Complex in Northwest Toronto, there's a futsal game.
Futsal is essentially the FIFA version of indoor soccer. It's its own sport, 5-a-side, and it's just an aggressively offensive and aggressively defensive game where it's just action-packed, full of saves, full of goals, full of kind of street-style footwork out there.
Its spectators are passionate.
The energy is nonstop, whistles, noisemakers, people putting pennies in Javex bottles, dressing up as luchadors. There's nothing like a futsal atmosphere.
Do games get intense and confrontational sometimes?
Absolutely. I mean, it's part of sport out there, where it's hard to turn off the hot water tap is what we like to say.
For referees, it can be a handful.
You have to love the game if you're a referee. It's you have to be a quirky individual to be a referee to begin with. It's the most thankless job in the world. I always tell people I would never accept $500 a game because it's that difficult of a job.
Edwin Alvarado is a futsal referee. The 49-year-old from Colombia grew up playing the sport. His wife, Alexandra Barrera, usually watches the games.
I was supposed to join him during the game that evening, So around 5 or 6, so I went to do some grocery shopping for Thanksgiving Day. And he wants a turkey because he never tried turkey.
There were families there, children watching a futsal being played. There was 2 teams playing, and the match became heated. We don't have any specific information about what led to that, but we do know that immediately following that, there were shots fired.
While I was walking out of the market, I felt a weird sensation. I can't forget. I feel like I was alone.
This evening at 7:20 p.m., received a call for a shooting. Officers arrived on scene and located 3 males that all had received gunshots. All 3 were transported to local trauma centers.
Around 9 o'clock or before 9, I started receiving a call from an unknown number. So I didn't answer. And then right after, I received a text message and says, this is so-and-so. It's because Edwin had an accident. And I said, okay, so I thank you, so we are on the way.
Alexandra and her stepdaughter rushed to the hospital. Nothing could prepare them for the news they were about to hear.
When he got into a hospital, his heart was stopped like at 30 minutes before. No. We couldn't believe that happened because he was like such a healthy man, full of life. So I couldn't believe he couldn't fight more. I don't know, that's what I said. Maybe if I was there, I could hold him to stay with us.
We have our forensic identification services on scene, and homicide squad is on their way to take over the investigation. We're asking any witnesses to come forward and please contact us.
Detectives arrive and pore over the scene for evidence, interviewing witnesses. They discover the shooting came from the sidelines.
It was a spectator.
A spectator fired shots from the stands.
The suspect emerged from the sidelines and discharged a number of rounds.
And those shots hit 3 victims.
That's correct. The victim, Edwin Alvarado, was acting as a referee during the game. He was hired to referee this particular game. The other 2 individuals suffered what we would call life-altering injuries.
Combing through security footage, Toronto police release photos of persons of interest, then narrow their search to 1 suspect.
We're looking for 19-year-old Cristian Cuxum. He's believed to frequent the GTA. He should be considered armed and dangerous, and he's currently wanted for 1 count of second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder.
What happened to the suspect after?
He fled the scene.
On foot?
Yeah, he fled the facility on foot.
Police did not recover the weapon at the scene and warn that Cristian Cuxum is considered armed and dangerous. If you have any information on his whereabouts, do not approach him. Call Crime Stoppers.
To the man who took Edwin's life, you destroy us. You destroy our family. You destroy our plans, our dreams, our sense of safety, our everything.
Welcome back to Crime Beat Most Wanted. You just heard Alexandra Barrera, alongside her children, Manny and Julissa, sending a message to Cristian Cuxum. He is the most wanted man in Canada. He's described as 5'4" or 163 centimeters. He has dark brown hair, brown eyes, and weighs about 119 pounds or 54 kilograms. There's a $250,000 reward for tips that lead to his arrest. Police think he may still be in Toronto. Here's more on the hunt for most wanted Cristian Cuxum. On Thanksgiving weekend, the place where families had come to enjoy a futsal match became the scene of a horrific triple shooting and a murder.
I heard it was two players that had a big problem with each other out there. One of the spectators just kind of fired towards the general direction, I guess, of where the individual he was trying to target was there, and the ref just happened to catch a bullet.
At the hospital, Alexandra is told that her husband was killed by one fatal bullet.
Only one shot on his lower abdomen that cut the femoral artery in two, so he lost so much blood, and that's why he passed away.
There are cases that we investigate where you have people that truly are victims, and when you look at what Edwin was doing, Edwin was engaged, doing something that he loved, being a futsal referee, and yeah, he was completely uninvolved. He's an innocent.
Edwin moved to Canada from Colombia only a few years ago.
Back home is a lot of like a gun violence on the street. You can get stabbed by someone because if you don't give the wallet or your phone. And also his mother was killed by a military group that is called guerrillas. This one was when he came to Canada the first time. He was so afraid of the cold, so he thought was like he was going to get frozen or something.
So new sweater that he's wearing then.
Yes.
He would have had to buy that.
Correct. He was so happy because he feels safe, and this happened, so that was so awful, and I cannot accept it.
Edwin and Alexandra shared a love story made for the movies.
So Edwin was actually your first love when you were teenagers.
Correct. We met back home in a small town that he used to live.
They were together at her quinceañera, an important milestone in Hispanic cultures when a girl turns 15.
When you pass from a teenager now to a woman, so it's a big celebration.
And you still remember your first dance with Edwin that day?
Yes. And he was so embarrassed. Yeah, because he was going to be part of the attention of the night.
Life took them in different directions. They married other people, had children, and divorced. And almost 2 decades later, reconnected.
I found him on Facebook, so we started talking. 6 months later, I flew to Colombia.
You fell in love with him all over again?
Yes. So we got married on June 21st, 2019. So that was back home. So I came with my kids. That day he was so happy. We couldn't believe now we are Mr. and Miss. So yeah, I don't know.
You were so happy that you were finally, after so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our happiness doesn't last.
Edwin and Alexandra would be robbed of their dream, not on the streets of Colombia, but at a sports facility in Toronto.
They'd come over from Colombia for a better life, and Edwin's someone who wanted to teach, he wanted to coach and referee.
He loved soccer?
Yeah, that was his passion.
Edwin was refereeing a soccer game when he was tragically shot and killed. The man wanted in this brazen, senseless murder is 19-year-old Cristian Adolfo Cuxum.
An online search reveals that, like Edwin, Cristian Tito Adolfo Cuxum had a passion for futsal. He made headlines at a major futsal competition.
Cristian Tito Cuxum makes it 2-0. Checking his options, lays it off to Tito.
His footwork helped his team win gold.
Here goes Sinsun. He gets tackled.
2.5 years later, he is wanted for murder.
And that was just a real shock, because you think, you're playing sport, You're doing something really positive, and you just got to think, where did it all go wrong for this guy?
The gravity of this case is extreme. The community impact is also extreme. There's a man accused of murder who is walking in the GTA, likely now, with the weapon that was used.
You believe he's still in Toronto?
Yes. Yes.
Why do you believe that?
Well, I mean, our investigation hasn't led us to believe anything different. As investigators, we can just follow evidence, and there's no evidence to suggest that he's left Toronto or left the country.
The maximum possible reward is being offered up here. Do you think that'll be enough?
$250,000 is life-changing money for many people. I would hope that if someone was struggling with their loyalties, that maybe this would help sway them in the direction of picking up the phone and calling. That's the hope.
Police believe that all it takes is one tip to bring in Canada's most wanted and to collect a reward of $250,000. And it can be done anonymously. After the break, I'll take you inside Crime Stoppers to show you how that's done. Welcome back to Crime Beat Most Wanted. You are staring into the faces of Canada's most wanted. These life-size cutouts were created by the Bolo program. They eerily let you size them up, get a better sense of their height and weight so that you can be on the lookout and call Crime Stoppers. For Canada's #1 most wanted, Cristian Cuxum, they're offering up a big incentive, a reward of up to $250,000 for tips leading to his arrest. At a secret location in Ontario,
do you know when the robbery happened?
Crime Stoppers is ready to take your call.
Okay, what address? Do you know that address? And do you know what the male's ethnicity is?
Thank you for calling Toronto Crime Stoppers. How may I help you?
Sean, thanks for giving us a tour.
For sure.
What is this place? Where are we?
So we are in an undisclosed location. This is the National Anonymous Call Center where all tips come in from right across Canada into the US and internationally. The number of calls that come in here, you know, in Toronto, we get upwards to 10,000 calls or more a year.
Wow.
And then when you take that and you multiply it by 87 programs in Canada, you can imagine the number of calls, the number of tips that are coming in.
I need to place a tip, please.
For what city or town?
For Toronto.
When you're talking about 10,000 calls for Toronto, what kinds of calls are you getting?
It could be something as, hey, I think my neighbor is doing such and such, to an actual, hey, I know a guy who committed that crime because we saw something on TV, murders, sexual assaults.
Okay, and what are you looking to report about?
I seen someone with a gun.
When was this?
Yesterday.
People call Crime Stoppers because it's promised that they're going to be anonymous.
For sure.
How anonymous are they? What kind of information do you get from this call?
We get nothing. Right, so when you call in, your number is blocked. When it comes in online, it's the same thing. All that information from an IP perspective is washed.
We ask them the who, what, where, why, and weapons questions to determine what crime is being reported. I make sure that they're aware that I don't want their name, number, or anything about them.
Tipsters are given their own ID number and password and can go online to get updates.
Then all that information goes over to, you know, the Crime Stoppers program, in this case Toronto, and our detective and the team in the office vet that information.
What happens when you pick up that tip?
So what happens when we pick up a tip? First and foremost, one of the things that we look at is the safety of our tipsters. We review it again to sanitize it, to ensure that there's no safety risks.
And what kinds of things are you looking for when you're sanitizing it?
So identifiers. I'll give the example of, let's say someone's providing information about drugs and they mention by mistake, my neighbor deals drugs that lives right beside me.
So that would identify the person?
That would identify the person. So what we would do is sanitize that information, say a person at residence so-and-so.
Right. So in that sense, on all fronts, you are really looking to protect the anonymity of the caller.
The tipster's safety is paramount. We will not sacrifice any information leaving our queue for the sake of an arrest or a charge.
So how do you collect a reward and stay anonymous?
Basically, to collect the reward is that tip needs to lead to that person's arrest. When you call Crime Stoppers, you're given an ID number, and that's unique to you. And then once that happens, we'll give you another series of numbers, which technically turns into your bank account. And then you can go to any TD bank in the GTA in Ontario, present that bank account number as a non-identifiable account. They just take it, they verify it, and they go, here you go, here's your cash.
Alexandra and her family desperately hope this cash incentive will help bring this painful chapter to a close.
To everyone watching this, if you know where this wanted man is, please call in a tip. Help us moving forward, help us feel safe again. Please, anyone who knows anything, just call. We are tortured every day because this man has not been arrested. It is not only the sadness that we lost Edwin, we are tortured by so many questions that can be answered once he is arrested, and then to bring a closure to our lives.
Here is one last look at Canada's #1 most wanted, Cristian Cuxum. If you have any information, Crime Stoppers is waiting for your anonymous call.
I'm Tracy Tong. Thank you for joining us tonight on Crime Beat Most Wanted. See you again next time. Take care.
For more from Crime Beat, there are over 80 episodes of the Crime Beat podcast available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.